Very good. Okay. Okay. Well, welcome to Satsang. Very nice to see you. Jnana.
Good to be with you all. I was thinking about our conversation from Monday and this idea of karma. And it seems as though this is yet another one of those paradoxes where if we are all one, we are all the manifestation of the one, and the individual self is an illusion, how can there be a karma tied to an individual one that doesn't actually exist? And then isn't all karma my karma? Isn't all karma shared karma? And so simultaneously it's all mine and none of it's mine, and it's all yours and none of it's yours.
Yes.
And so then with that, how to orient oneself towards karma.
How to orient oneself away from karma. Yes. Where do you look from? Where do you experience from? As what? Is an individuated I separate? Certainly, it's true, yes? I mean, just... So certainly, I mean, this is part of the experience, as an individuated, separate self. You have your own body, you have what you call my thoughts, you have what you call my emotions. And we all have a sense of a collective experience, even in the most mundane way, where being near other people, it affects us, yes? Anybody who's ever been in traffic knows this. It's not mystical. You're having a nice time with a group of friends and somebody walks in that's in a really bad mood. You can feel it, yes? Yes. And then you start having some synchronicities. You think of somebody and they call, or you're together and you say the same exact thing at the same time. You're thinking something, they say it, vice versa. Nobody's excluded yet from these experiences, right? Very common. So, there's a funny thing happens actually to the I sense as one awakens into collective consciousness. I mean, awareness of a collective consciousness. We engaged in the egoic identity. Generally, we think of ourselves as a body and a mind with a set of emotions and preferences and beliefs, etc., yes? And this one perceives itself as distinct, individuated, and singular. But the odd thing is what's really happening here, what we call conditioning, is actually, there's a we-ness operating through us of past identities, past karmas, past collective karmas, like familial karma. So we think of ourselves as singular, and we're actually many. You know, that's a pretty common thing now in psychology. They talk about who's driving the bus. You have so many people on your bus, in your mind. Who's driving? Or what's the movie, the animated movie, Inside Out, I think it's called? Who's at the control? So we think of ourselves as singular, but really we're plural. And then as one awakens, sort of higher octaves of consciousness, awareness, you come to see that the multiplicity of the I. You become aware of your own self, your karma, by paying attention to the patterns of thought, word, and action. You become aware of your own patterns, self-aware. Very much aware of your personality, your proclivities. And so you see the plurality of this I sense that thought it was singular. And then this, as one actually becomes increasingly singular, which the awareness of the multiplicity is itself singular, you see? I don't know, I'm saying it very well. There's only one witness. Aware of the personality, which is a whole plethora of movements, energies, colors, sounds. And so aware of the multiplicity of conditioning, one becomes more singular. And as this multiplicity, inner and outer, becomes an I sense that would call itself we, I am that, and that, and that, and that. Non-separate becomes apparent. You're more singular, and yet you feel expansive, plural. And there is a singular view and a multiplicity. And a sense of reflectiveness. One as many, many as one. And this experience, as we become more and more conscious, more and more aware of the constituency called Jnana, it's a whole constellation. A whole system. So we think of ourselves as singular when we're really so plural, painfully plural. Huh? And then in awakening, we become actually more singular. The mind is attenuated. It isn't such a chaos. And this one sees itself as the same reflected many. Earlier, in a really wonderful conversation I had, we were sort of looking at shift in it's really, I guess, kind of a shift in perception in a way, where what has been in the background moves to the foreground, and what was in the foreground moves to the background. So, focused in conditioning on objects our primary focus through vision, generally, is on objects, people, things, ideas. And this sense of I is kind of in the background. But just even in this moment, without really much effort, you can change your focus of attention to your own heart. So that you're looking inward. It can be helpful to close your eyes. It's not necessary, but it can be very helpful for a time to close your eyes, to focus on the heart and let all of the other things fade into the background. It's really quite pleasant. And so it's almost like you have, when you're focused on an object, if you've ever practiced tratak, staring at an image or a flame, you have your focus attention on the object, the bindu. Your drishti is on the object, the bindu, the center. And around it you have your peripheral awareness. So that is in the outer, both things. The drishti is on the outer as flame, and then you have your peripheral vision, which you bring into your awareness simultaneous to your focus on the flame. So there's focus, and there's a soft but profound awareness of peripheral vision. And here what we're suggesting as a practice is you make your drishti, you put the bindu at the center of your being, at your heart. And this is where you are looking toward persistently and where you are looking from consistently. And this is the focus. And the entire outer becomes peripheral. So you have a reversal of fields, in a way of saying. The primary focus moves in, and the peripheral focus moves out. You could even say that the primary focus being on the stillness in the cave of the heart, the first periphery is your inner landscape. Your emotions, your thoughts, holding them gently, softly, not excluding them, but they're in the periphery. And then the next periphery is in the outer. And all of these you can hold simultaneously with some practice. Just like anybody who has learned to rub their belly and pat their head and chew gum and ride a bike with no hands. This is a practice, I've seen it, can have profound shifts for people. And you can do it now and at any time. The fruit of this is that centered on the I sense, the inner landscape comes and goes, rises and falls, and you're totally okay with it. You can have Emotions flow through. Sadness, joy, even anger. Huh? No problem. And similarly, in the outer landscape, things happen. No problem. And with some practice, you can hold all three of these simultaneously, and it's really quite nice. Maybe you could say, even as you really begin to hone in on what, just, I don't know how to say, and you could say that once you get that, in that sense, you could say this is the beginning of the end of problems. Not challenges. Beginning of the end of suffering, not pain. What can you say now, Jnana?
You mentioned looking inward toward the heart, toward the cave of the heart, which I understand and feels natural. And then you also said looking from there. And it occurs to me that I don't know that I would recognize or be able to call up looking from. So I wondered if you could speak to that.
Yeah. Well. I'll do my best. It's not that the heart can't understand the mind, or that the mind can't understand the heart. But there's some translation. Let me at first say that the heart also must be emptied. The contents of the heart are, we like to say, from the heart. And it's good, and it's a very good direction to go. The contents of the heart also it's good to empty. But how to, you say, I understand looking toward the heart, feeling into the heart space, heart as object, yes? So let me ask you, looking toward the heart as what? If heart is the object of your attention, what is subject?
The attention.
So, if the object of attention is the heart, can you move the subject of attentiveness also to the heart? In a way, you could say, identified as the seer of the heart, attentive to the heart. Now allow the heart to reach up and just swallow it. Object swallows subject. And a
feels a bit like eyes trying to look at eyes.
If heart reaches up, comes right up through the throat, up into head, has mind. And now you're looking from here. Maybe it's a bit of inner geometry at first. Yes, okay, that's it. That's what the face looks like when you're looking from there. Yeah, it's very good. That's what it feels like. And it's that you can't really explain it, but then somehow, right? It's a bit of a geometry in your inner landscape, and now your focus is the heart, and your point of departure of focus is also the heart. To and from the heart. Now, from this posture, a sort of inner subtle mudra or asana, your whole relationship with the world will shift. Your whole relationship with you will shift. This very simple thing with some attention, some persistence. Gentle, must be so gentle with these things. No forcing anything. Not good to do that. So much respect for this place, in this you're entering a very, very sacred realm. So be so respectful and so humble. And you can do this practice all day long. This alone can take you. I was in a conversation with somebody recently, and somebody was feeling a little bit self-conscious about how they looked. And I said, I do not care how you look. I care very much about how you see. This is that. So, tell me, Jnana, what can you say? Speaking to there and from there. That's what it says. That's exactly what it says. It says, thank you, I love you. Yeah. Now the trick is to, you just, I don't know if it even works on camera, you just suture it together like this. Just like and you're and this I love you that comes from there, it wants nothing, doesn't it? Not even my approval, not a pat on the head, not an atta girl. No, it's just, yes? Yes. Now, your work is very simple. Don't forget. And having forgotten, remember. Do you see how simple it was? It started with, I don't quite understand. You dropped the normal apparatus of understanding. And you moved into, I don't know, some kind of a geometry or some kind of visualization, whatever it was for you, slipped gently out of mind in order to step into heart. And it was so fast and simple, yes? Now, has it faded since I've been talking?
No, only the attention is shifted briefly.
Attention shifts. And so attention can move to this and that. It can, the proportional attention, it's like a, it's like a cocktail of experience, you know. Inner experience, outer experience, all of the different flavors and colors of these things, and then anchored in I-ness. This place, you can't really quite, it kind of defies any description or adjective. But now these three things are sort of, you'll find, in a kind of a fluid, and then your attention moves. And gradually, as you practice this, you will reclaim sovereignty over even your attention, so that you look where you want to look. You look from where you want to look from. And generally, this tends to be what's most generous. What's best for present company. But you yourself, you come to a place, you don't lose that anymore. Now, it was so quick and so simple for you. Of course, there's so much work that preceded that for you. Not just in this lifetime. But I think it's not even so complicated as that your persistence is prerequisite to that experience. I think anyone can have this. Maybe your ability to keep it, we could say. Well, find out and report back. You tell me. Soon, if you persist in this, you'll come to a place where you'll wonder how you ever did it any other way. Almost inaccessible, really. So, can I ask permission to check back in with you later in the satsang? And now you're presented with the challenge of abiding here. Okay. Also pay attention to questions and thoughts, reflections, observations as they arise. Always bringing it back to look from there. Okay. Who has something next? You know, a really effective satsang is one where the questions disappear. And the best satsang, the questioner goes with it. Question goes, questioner goes. Probably most of you know that Ramana Maharshi is known for, in response to a seeker asking a question, he would simply reply, "Who's asking?" In a conversation earlier with a rather advanced seeker, he said something to the effect of, "The time for learning is over." And in this there will be more and more expansive knowing, or knowingness. The time for believing is fading away into what is. No concept or theology, no tradition needs be articulated. Certainly not debated. And that let those who debate, let them debate. It's an important part of the process. It's good, but it's not for you. And, well, what of the world? There are things that seem they need to be done, often with some urgency, certainly with importance. We looked together and suggested maybe the world might go on okay without us for just a little while. Resigning from problem solver. Do you want to look now and see if you were to resign from your obligation to yourself and to the world as problem solver, relieved of duty, services no longer required, thank you so much for all you've done for us. We'll throw you a retirement party. And the morning after the party, resigned from problem solving, what remains? Is it uncomfortable yet? What if it were true? You wake up in the morning and there is nothing that you need to say. There's no opinion that needs to be shared. Total permission to just keep quiet. Even internally, in your own reflective thought process of debate. Even just allowing that without any hope of any conclusion. Allowing thought to pass through without thinking about how you might say it or who you might say it to. If there are still problems, they're not for you to solve. So who has something to say, to offer us from the place of nothing to say?
Nataraj, I have a question. This is Ali.
Hi,
Can you
Ali.
hear me?
Yes. Uh-huh.
It dawned on me the other day, a question arose, is anything mine? Let me just say I'm navigating this physical world and so on. There's my cup, my house, my pets, my daughter, and even my problem. And, the answer is nothing's mine and everything's mine, but nothing. And I wonder if you talk about that and this navigating the things and even the problem.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking about people who, let someone borrow their car when something happened. Suddenly I'm the one without a car impacted. Or my problem, not yours. I'm not going to put it on you, but it's mine. So this idea of, is anything mine? Does it make sense?
Yes. So let's not go too quickly. Which is true, as you say, nothing is mine and everything is mine. But let's look. My house, you as property owner. My daughter, you as mother. My pet, you as landlord. My boss, my partner, my car, my friend, my not friend. Your possession, what does it make you? You see? When your daughter was born, you became mother. Yes? You were married, you became wife. You were hired, you became employee. You were divorced, you became ex. Not just silly, but look. What's the word for unbecoming? Ex. So, this possession, it makes you something, doesn't it? This is, in its purest form, is the relationship between subject and object. It's a relationship. You're related. And each one has a name and a function. Duty. Yeah. All of these me and minds aren't intrinsically wrong. It doesn't mean run away from your responsibilities or from the world. It means we just step back to see all of the different me's there are. And when your attention moves in possession of object, this is attachment. It doesn't improve your relationship, by the way. Probably I could rather convincingly argue that it makes it worse. So when we possess, we are possessed in turn, you see? And this is, in the world, in relationship, this is what we want. That there is, for the egoic identity, a sense of refuge and safety in this. It isn't true, but this is the movement and the inspiration of it. Mostly it's, well, let's just say what it is. It's fear-based. This isn't to indict these kinds of relationships. It's not at all. But when you move, when your mind and your heart moves to possess something, you are then possessed by it. There isn't any other way. And so, contrary-wise, when you release something, you are also released, detached. One can be in total dharmic relationship, fulfilling earthly duties, and simultaneously detached. And actually much more effective in the role even as parent. Much more effective, much more loving, much better for children. Much, much better. I know you in particular have this very experience. Then, the one who is detached, I'm not sure I would say possesses everything, but I would say maybe needs nothing. Nothing needs be added to this one. You could say that in this detached, all-encompassing love, each object of love for this one is their favorite. Moving out of this possessive experience with life, this is freedom. And this freedom expresses itself as love that isn't qualified, evaluated, and reevaluated. Needs nothing. Let me look and see. Can we say possesses everything? In a way, you could say that everything belongs to me. So there is this sense that to this one, all the world are my children. And that kind of doesn't make that one parent, but it's that kind of like unconditional love that one has for children. And a love that sees the differences, the uniqueness in each, but doesn't love anyone any more than the other. We were exploring this the other day as the need to be special. And this love is completely not special. Maybe the most special also, you could say, but it doesn't say this, not that, this one, not that one. It doesn't try, it doesn't try to be recognized as something special. In Course in Miracles, there's an inquiry about special relationships. And it's interesting because, it's this way, and I think some of you have this experience, that seeing that you are not the only favorite can be difficult for us when we're still identified. Why are they giving that much love to them? Does it diminish what I just received? Just like children are in the regular nuclear family, competing with each other. And we do this. It's actually, it's one of the things that I brought to Mooji early on. And I took it from my heart and I said, Mooji, please relieve me of this incessant need to be special to you. I was always thinking, how can I capture his affection? How can I stand out for him? Not such a horrible sentiment, but I saw my suffering in it and the absurdity of it also. And I asked him, personally, please take this. But when we don't feel special, or we withdraw special from somebody, this is the love of the world that is highly transactional, highly conditioned, meaning qualified, always under review. Trying to earn love through merit, and always evaluating merit, whether or not we dole out love. This isn't actually love at all. Not in comparison, anyway. So the next thing is, it's a bit more mystical, this. When one is invited into, by mercy and grace, in the open receiving of the love of God, there can be this sense that all of this is mine, belongs to me, good, bad, and neutral, is of me. All of this is mine, but none of it is for me. Meaning not to be possessed. Because who would possess will be possessed by it. I don't mean to be like, ghosts and demons and this sort of a thing when I say possession. Is when you reach for something, it reaches back. There is a mutual clinging. If you've tried to forgive, if you've tried to detach, you can see you are clinging and you are being clung to. Yes? Have you felt this? It's a very subtle but very powerful. There is no way around this. To possess something, it will possess you in turn. There is a bit of a superimposition that happens. You make contact. Certainly in relationship, especially romantic relationship, consummated in physical intimacy, well, you see there's a becoming, there's a merging. And energetically, emotionally, even physically, there are profound outcomes. But even as subtle with thought, it's such a curious thing. If you touch the thought, do you see how the thought takes you? Have you seen it? I mean, it doesn't really, but you know, especially if it's a well formulated pattern of thought, it just takes you so quickly. Who are you? Huh? Not rhetorical. You who touches a thought becomes a thought. Who are you? Huh? A thought? Yeah. Yeah. You make contact. It's like when you log into a web server, there's its IP address and there's your IP address and there's, I think, is what's called a handshake. I'm not an expert. I'm also not an expert on this, but it's called a handshake. And now there's a connection. You're logged in. So you are logging into thought, and there is a connection. Witness of thought somehow now exists as thought. And truly, if you think about this now, what that you think you are, is a collection of memories, isn't it? Have you seen this already? This you that you think you are, your identity, is a collection, a constellation of memories. Meaning thought. Yes? Because the memory is a thought of the past, isn't it? Or are you actually time traveling? No. It's a thought. Lost in thought. Lost as thought. There's nothing more to it than that, which is very good news. Do you see why this is good news? Because it has no fundamental reality to it. So, what we touch touches back. Think now of what you touch touches back. Think of Sistine Chapel. So much of our reaching is habitual. Hmm? But if you can get control of your own hand, you make contact, there's a becoming. You see? Don't be so frustrated by the habits. This isn't any really different. This isn't any different than you are what you eat. It might be more helpful to hear it this way. You have become what you have eaten. You are what you have eaten. You will be what you eat. Change your diet. You see, because if you eat a carrot, and the carrot comes in the mouth, you chew it, you swallow it, it's digested. Now carrot is moving through your bloodstream into the cells, and that carrot now calls itself Ali. Hello, carrot. So this we know. As a side note, it's a funny thing that, does the carrot know that it's Ali? You know, you eat half the carrot, Andrew eats the other half of the carrot. Half becomes Ali, half becomes Andrew. How is this possible? It's more than just silly. This is the practice of what I call non-touching. Seeing the condition, the habitual reaching and touching. Usually, you know, they're my opinions, my preferences, my beliefs. And I see the habit of touching and see that I now become that, as that, object as subject. This subject this subject perceiving other objects from the place of object. Objectified. So much nonsense.
I can see that when I offer all these things in service, the cup, the house, the daughter, that it's an opportunity to see where the ego's triggers are with what I'm identifying. So, I got more juice I can examine because it can flow through me, the house, the car, these things, rather than, they're offered in service. And you want to see where my triggers are, see what arises when I release it and send it through me. That's what I'm noticing in this.
Yes, that's right. Attachment to possessions. And possession is, in fact, attachment. But there's this wonderful story of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa from Calcutta. And one very poor man started coming around the ashram. And Ramakrishna kind of noticed he was casing the joint. And after several days of this, the man, there was a pair of deities, golden murtis, and he took one and put it under his and ran off. And Ramakrishna starts running after him. And they're just, and he runs all the way back into town, like a 20-minute run. And the man finally makes it to his hut, exhausted, sweaty and exhausted. And Ramakrishna, of course, arrives without a drop of sweat, breathing normally. And he says, "Sir, they come as a pair," and he gave him the other one. Probably he also knew in advance that that man would become a disciple. It's a wonderful practice. And whatever it is of your possessions that you would experience grief to lose it is also, as we've said before, is a gratitude for having had it at all. It's the same. That grief is the gratitude. And you don't need to give away anything to be free. You just need to be willing to, on a moment's notice. But here's the painful thing about life of possession, is that what comes goes. What comes goes. Now, for the one who wants to be free, when it goes, you can let it take you with it. You see, you can, as it goes, you allow the identity to remain attached to it, and you let the identity go with the object of attachment. This is generally accompanied by some discomfort. Maybe even the felt sense of dying. This is mastery. When something you adore leaves, you stay and let it take the you with it. You know, Janis Joplin said beautifully, freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. But truly, it's nothing left to cling to. There's a seeker comes to visit an adept, a master, and he comes into the master's hut, and the master is sitting there on a dirt floor, one shawl, you know, and his dhoti. And the man says, at least maybe you should have a chair to sit in. And the master says, well, what about you? What about your chair? Why didn't you bring your chair with you? man says, well, Master, I'm just visiting. He says, just visiting. And truly, when you go, you don't even get to take your precious body with you. This isn't such bad news as I find as we get older. I'm still partial. Whatever we cling to clings back. You must know this. Whatever you release will release you. It's called forgiveness. The result is called happy. Okay. Jnana. You thought I forgot. You forgot. I did forget. What can you say?
So much. Is there a more specific question?
Well, so the exercise of being attentive to the heart and attentive from the heart. So seeing from there. And I asked permission to check back in with you to see how was the rest of the experience of satsang.
Effortful to maintain the orientation of looking from and also be paying attention to what's being said.
Some effort, you're saying?
Effortful.
Effortful, yes.
Effortful.
Yeah. Yes. It's like that at first. And as you already know, but I can't resist not saying it. What is at first effortful becomes effortless. There's a kind of a muscle memory, mudra memory. And it becomes so familiar, you call it I, and you couldn't possibly forget. It's just, in this, there's a shift in, as we were saying before, the foreground moves to the background, and that background moves to the foreground. The reversal. Okay. So now the trick is take it into the rest of your day. You can set alarms on your phone or just take some cues, put sticky notes, and make this looking from your heart a practice. And I promise you, you'll be glad you did. Look from your heart all day. And when you forget, don't worry, just pick it up again. Okay. Love you, thank you.